Hey guys, welcome to our review of Gridman, episode 3. As always, I'm your host of Frozen Stratos. Here with me today we have
Cinder Blaze.
my dude. Welcome back. We just got done watching it and it was so good as usual. And I feel like this episode there was probably some symbolism in there. Like I saw the two side characters, the shattered grid or shattered glass side swipe, and the girl just sort of sitting like placed in different mirrors. I don't know what that was supposed to be about. Maybe they're like separate and divided. I'm not sure, but outside of that, it mainly focused on developing the new characters and the relationship that everyone has with Yuta. It was a very his name's Hibiki Yuta, or like Yuta Hibiki, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they sort of like put him away just so that they could, do everything else. And I'm like, just because it's this show, I'm always looking for what expectations they subverted. And you know, I think the expectation I had was for him to come back at the last moment, at the last second to save the day. Like that's the typical expectation you'd want, but he comes back and triggers the fight. I think that's what they were playing off of.
Yeah.
And then it turned into Transformers Armada. So
When the other weapons kind of like walk in, there's
Mhm.
like, hey, where's oh, Gridman's like still alive. Like, what are you guys talking about? It's like, don't you have a way to contact him? It's like, well, I can
Yeah.
call him. Like, oh shit, this what? Like, yeah, we're just waiting for the monster to show up, but he's not showing up. How
Mhm.
do we make our dramatic appearance if he doesn't show up? Just- so yeah, I think like that was like the kind of expectation they were playing around with.
Yeah. And I think another thing that they're playing around with again is the villain. And I feel like either she sees herself or we're supposed to like see her as someone who is like she's put in a position of like a main character. She has the window seat. She's like, things are centered around her. And this episode, she got that sequence in the rain where she finally like won, where she had her victory. And I feel like in some way you keep saying that like, oh man, is that person, was he like an old main character before? But I feel like they're taking those main character tropes and like assigning some of them to her, and like saying that, maybe you have like whatever it is in your head, you know but that's not the case. You're actually so far in your head that you are the villain or something. I don't know. Probably saying something about that.
Yeah, like personally, I don't feel like it's like that. I feel like they're just more of
Hmm.
like just like having fun with the character. You know, they like making her as twisted as possible because they keep on like going back and forth between like her looking innocent, like
Hmm.
that one cut that they did where Utsumi's kind of like messing with Hibiki. He's like, "Hey, what if all these kaiju are actually human?" Because
Yeah.
so like that's like probably like an Ultraman trope that he's probably playing off of. That's probably happened before. Like I'm
Mm.
not sure if it's happened any recent ones. I haven't really watched,
Uh,
but it sounds like since he's like aware of like the toku genre and stuff like that, that seems like a very like tropish thing that would be possible. So you're just kind
maybe.
of like
I don't
throwing
know.
it out there to kind of mess with him because he doesn't know,
Uh-huh.
and that just kind of like tilts him a little bit. And he's like,
Hmm.
"Oh shoot! Like, what if he is human? Like, I can't like actually like kill the dude."
But it's weird though. Like they dropped that so quickly. I'm wondering if maybe that was a time situation or if they did it on purpose.
Well,
Like you
it's
think
not.
it would be the focus of the episode, but the real focus is like the actual people.
Yeah, but we can't tell how much of the fighting Hibiki's actually doing himself,
Yeah.
because like Gridman is also a consciousness that's controlling. Or not. We don't know if he's
Well,
controlling,
actually, I
but
don't know that he's controlling it because
yeah,
like Yuta was the one that held back in the fight.
yeah. But he does kind of like reaffirm him that hey,
Hmm.
we have to prevent everyone else from being sacrificed as well because he's doing whatever the hell he
Hmm.
is. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I feel like for this episode in particular, they didn't really want to dwell too much on all the other problems. Like even for Rika's kind of whole shtick where she doesn't answer Hibiki's call and she's kind of
Hmm.
feeling guilty about it, and maybe there's like some sort of ship that's there.
Yeah.
Like they really didn't put like too much into that. Like that felt very not like half-assed, but they weren't
Hmm.
putting the full effort into it.
Yeah. Maybe they're just giving you a taste. I
Yeah,
wonder if that's another thing they're gonna subvert, like turn that idea on its head.
I'm not sure, but like what it did show me, at least in this episode, is that the mecha fights were probably like the forefront of this series. Like,
Yeah.
despite all the stuff that was like actually happening,
Hmm.
they put a lot of care into like the actual fights, and they kind of like want to show that.
Yeah.
And honestly, like they look fantastic.
They
Like
do.
there's
Yeah.
so much effort and so much like they know what fans of like giant mecha fights love,
Hmm.
and they know how to cater that extremely well. And I'm satisfied with this episode
Yeah.
just because of that
Definitely.
alone.
And I don't know, because I just worry that there's some small, like, subtle things, or maybe some subtext that we're missing, because they put that in there. They made it feels like they made this with care, and I want to make sure I like absorb everything, take away everything that they're putting in, that they're
Yeah,
like putting out there. So I
like
don't
they
know.
did put slight things. Like one thing that I think they didn't really put in the forefront of this episode was Utsumi's kind of like guilt, and
Uh
like
huh.
he was the one who kind of almost killed his best friend, and he couldn't even bring himself to tell Rika that.
Yeah. Hmm.
So I don't know. And there's also the fact that Rika and Utsumi really are useless in this like show.
Hmm.
So like, and it feels like since they're given like the amount of screen time that they are, like I would I would assume that they would have like a duty or something to do later on in the series,
Hmm.
but I don't know. Like, and maybe like whatever that duty is, it might not pertain to like the mecha fights themselves, but they might play an
Hmm.
important role in something else. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Because I get what you're saying. It doesn't seem that there's much utility in those characters until probably later on. We're gonna set up to that. Maybe they're power up weapons too.
yeah, like they don't seem like they're useful, but they're giving so much screen time that we kind of have to assume that like the
Hmm.
writers are planning to use them for something. So they're
Yeah,
not
and
like
they've built up enough trust in me, in most viewers, so I'm ready to see what that's all about. And maybe it's just those are the characters that are there to ground him or give him some sort of because like he just he doesn't have memories. They're kind of like I don't know. I don't know. The You're right. They're housing them for later, and they've got something in them, some that utility, that potential in them.
yeah. And
So
now that like the entire gang is here, maybe we'll get a lot more exposition because I feel like
gang's all here.
yeah, because I feel like those guys in particular really don't give a. uh, They're a lot more talkative than
Mhm.
Caliber, so maybe
Yeah,
they'll say something.
I like them. They're wonderful,
Yeah,
and they're all also shattered glass Transformers characters. Probably. That dude looks
probably,
too much like Grimlock not to be Grimlock.
probably.
You know,
Yeah, I'll
maybe.
trust you with that.
Yeah. Okay. But do you have anything else after this?
Not really.
All right, cool. Guys, thanks for watching. If you like this episode, hit that like button and subscribe. If you want to hear more from us each week, don't forget, at the end card of this video, you're going to be treated with a thumbnail of a watch along that we did. And you go ahead and click that, and it sends you over to GoMango, where we watched it along with you guys. So, if you're inclined, go ahead and click that. Guys, thanks for watching. Keep it juicy.
See ya.
Oh man, that one was not a good one, or at least it didn't register well. That was like a, but like a little more.
That was one of those just like kind of had to come out. It's just kind of
Yeah, okay. That one legitimately sounded like.